I mean, you do kind of have to be like a gambler a little bit to do this a lot. You actually don't need a lot to start. There's ways to get answers to what you're looking for without having to spend your full savings. The art does play a pretty big component, I would say. Sometimes you can pull all the bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, if the product or the art itself is not something that someone's looking for, then it is a harder sell. I definitely think that there is a point of diminishing returns when it comes to like the quality of the art. I honestly feel like good experience is just somewhere at the top for most, just as a general statement, you know? Just something as simple as like, oh, I couldn't get this person's attention. Like that could actually be a deterrent. When I'm at a show, I'm not an artist at the show. I'm a salesperson.
In this episode, I'm joined by Kehasuk. He's one of the veterans of fan art print selling at conventions. If you're not familiar with him, you might have seen him at places like Comic-Con, WonderCon, Anime Expo. In this episode, we're talking a little bit about how he got his start by just kind of showing up at WonderCon, starting to do commissions of people as minions right outside without even really getting permission. And then going from there to having a full-time sustainable business with employees and making enough money to be able to support him and his family. Thanks. I really hope you enjoy the episode. I'm a huge fan of Chris and everything that he's done. And if you'd like to support me, please consider checking out the links below in the description. All of your guys' support really does help me make more content like this. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
I think that a lot of people fear that when they first do something like this, that they're going to table and then no one's going to care and no one's going to show up. Do you have any like thoughts or feelings on like going to a convention and then maybe like you're not getting the reception that you expect or want to kind of keep it at least like feeling like emotionally sustainable?
I think you just got to rip the Band-Aid off, man. I think you just got to that's like totally possible. You might go, maybe no one's interested, but I guess it depends on a couple of things. If you're willing to adjust, then that's a good signal for you to shift and try something else. I don't think it necessarily means that like you're doomed to fail forever if something doesn't work. I think that it just gives you information that this didn't work and that maybe there's another thing that you can do that could work. But I feel like, you know, going out to these things is nice because you get immediate feedback and it's in real time. So I just feel like it's a good way to kind of gauge how like people feel. But again, I feel like take that with a grain of salt because there's some things that fit better in like an online marketplace versus in person. And there's several factors when you do a show. There's like who your neighbors are, where you're placed, what's your booth look like, how are you as a salesperson, what's your pricing structure, blah, blah, blah. There's like so many things that you could adjust to make something work. And sometimes it only takes a few things to tweak to actually make it work.
Yeah.
But at least you know that what you're doing at that moment isn't working. And I feel like that's actually great information, you know, because then it's a definitive answer. You're not left guessing too much and you can kind of just keep moving, I think.
Yeah. Well, I feel like talking to you, so much of it just seems like the emotional component to it, you know, because I you know, talking to you about how little shifts or little levers that you pull within your business of like just different ways of displaying your artwork or placement of the booth itself might transform the business side of it in a way that like maybe improving the art won't, you know? And I think a lot of people sometimes get caught up in like, oh man, like no one's buying my artwork. Then it's me and my art versus it just being the presentation of it.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, like the art does play a pretty big component, I would say. You know, sometimes you can pull all the bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, if the product or the art itself is not something that someone's looking for, then it is a harder sell. So obviously, you know, keep working on the art. It can always be better. And that's just part of the growth and the journey. So that's very important. But I think that in your current state or in whatever current state we're in, there's always something else that can be improved aside from that as well.
Yeah.
This is just all stuff I picked up from observation while being in this like space. Yeah. Salesmanship is a huge thing. Vibe is actually a huge thing. Like, you know, it'll probably be harder to sell things if you're looking down and it's hard for people to like make eye contact with you. Just something as simple as like, oh, I couldn't get this person's attention. Like that could actually be a deterrent.
Yeah.
You know, or like, or if the customer feels confused about like pricing structure or what you're selling or just confused in general, sometimes that could be a deterrent because most people don't like to feel like uncomfortable. They don't want to feel dumb.
Yeah.
You know, so like sometimes there's like a time limit on those things. That could be a deterrent. Something as simple as like, oh, they literally just couldn't see what you were selling. Like sometimes like the crowd average height is, you know, like 5'8"-ish, maybe 5'9"-ish. And things that go below that height when it's busy, people literally just can't see your booth. Yeah. It's just like a logistical issue.
Right.
You know, something as simple as that. Like that could be a big deterrent, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's just like things that you can observe when you're at shows.
Well, I've noticed that like for your booth, you're standing the whole time too, right?
Yeah, that's just more. I think that's just more my vibe. I always feel really uncomfortable like looking at people like this when I'm talking to them, so it's just not really my speed. I like having like direct eye contact.
Yeah.
I like being at like eye level. And it's like easier for me to like move around and just be more animated and stuff. So that's just a personal preference.
Yeah. Well, at a certain point, it just seems like trying to make yourself as accessible as possible. And
Yeah, for sure.
Like the whole like in and out way of thinking. It's like you have 3 things you can order, and it's like obvious like what's in it and how much they cost. So there's no friction there in terms of
Like when I'm at a show, I'm not an artist at the show. I'm a salesperson, or I'm just the salesperson that's like there to help guide the audience, you know, and there's a lot of different products on the table and everyone has different needs. So I'm literally just there to help like funnel, like, oh, like, what are you interested in? Oh, okay, I have this, or, you know, just answer questions and stuff. So at that moment, I put on like a different hat. So yeah, for me, standing, being accessible, just helps the experience.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that's something that people might feel a little bit uncomfortable with their own artwork. You know, it's like there might be an impulse that like technical skill is the thing that's like you have to get so good that people are just going to come to you organically and stuff. But again, it's like one of those things where there's diminishing returns in which technical skill will help you as like a business.
I think so. Yeah, I definitely think that there is a point of diminishing returns when it comes to like the quality of the art. I think when you step outside of just being like an artist, to most people, I think there's things more important than art, right? Like, I think like for an artist, for me, the art is the most important. And so that's all I'm looking for. But for most people, maybe it's like more casual than that, you know? And so, you know, I think there are different priorities for different people. And I honestly feel like good experience is just somewhere at the top for most, just as a general statement, you know? So whatever you can do to kind of provide that, I feel like just makes that interaction more pleasant. And I don't know. I mean, everyone's just here to have a good time, honestly.
Yeah.
So everyone's just here to have a good time. So am I. And so I feel like
for me, it always goes back to like expectations. Like people expect or hope when they start doing this stuff that it's going to be like a home run every single time. And there are shows that everyone goes to, even if they're really successful at this stuff, to where it is slow or it's really boring, or if people just aren't interested in their stuff and the way they're interested at like another show or something.
Yeah.
And like detaching yourself from the outcome and just being in the moment with whoever's like potentially interested in your thing is really the only way to keep it sustainable.
It can really affect me mentally if something isn't going well. But I don't know, at the end of the day, you're there. The outcome is probably not really going to change if it's based off of like external outcomes, like how big is the attendance level? Is it the right demographic for you? Is your price point something that is agreeable with that certain demographic? There's just a lot of external factors, and so at the end of the day, I can either have fun doing it or not.
Yeah.
If it's not going to change anything, I would rather have fun doing it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think it's like the expectations always kind of get to people, and art is one of those funny things because you have to like be in the moment completely to make good art, but then you also have to balance the more practical side of like, at least coming to conventions, like the risk of paying for a hotel and flying out to some place and buying the badge and buying the table and stuff. And again, I think it's sometimes hard to detach the like financial investment from the emotional investment,
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you do kind of have to be like a gambler a little bit to do this a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's pay to play and everyone can do whatever they're like comfortable with, basically. I think you actually don't need a lot to start, honestly. Like there's ways to get answers to what you're looking for without having to spend your full savings or whatever. Just always look for the lowest cost, fastest way to like try out an idea or a product, so that whether you need to pivot or not. I think just being flexible to like changing, and changing what you initially thought was going to work, I think that helps.
Well, yeah, I guess, even like where you're at now, like what's the most common problem or the biggest problem that you're dealing with at this stage? Like, is it like the scale of it? Is it, just trying to appeal to a wider audience or any of that kind of stuff? Or
I guess there's a few. So I've been in this game for about 12 years. And I think that when you start something, it's like being in a relationship. There's like that honeymoon phase, right? And everything is new, everything is fun, and you have no like expectation for what's supposed to be what. I feel like one of the things is to constantly remind myself or constantly keep myself grounded. And to always just kind of like refresh my mindset a little bit, because anything can become like a baseline for you, something that was once good for you last year might not be as good for you this year. And I think it's important to always kind of reset that mindset so that you're just always grateful and you're just always trying to realign with like your intentions of why you're doing something. I really believe in the power of art and what each person can do with it. And I feel like it's so important to kind of like try to keep that focused.
Yeah, well, and again, it's like when talking to people, like it's always strange talking to people who are like, you're like a decade into this whole journey of being an artist. It almost seems like the same problem that you were dealing with 10 years ago, just at like a larger scale.
Oh, I mean, for sure. I mean, like, hunger is a thing that just never goes away.
Yeah,
right. You're just like, you eat one meal, you're full, you're hungry again five hours later. And that it just kind of continues, whether it's like 10 years ago or it's now,
Well, and then the troubling part and the frustrating part is that validation never happens and the insecurity never goes away. Like,
no, if anything, it just amplifies. Honestly.
Well, it's like, again, you're at a stage now where you have like employees and you have like higher expenses and stuff. And it's like, you're still in the same exact room almost. Like you're in the same exact market, literally.
Yeah.
It's just, for sure. Like you're just presenting your stuff differently. And it's like, but the thing hasn't changed at all. It's just you have changed. Your capacity to deal with that anxiety and that risk.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the whole point of it. I feel like, at least for me, like growth is the most important thing that I chase in whatever sense of the word. But I like growing and I like learning. Yeah. And I feel like that's why I kind of like staying in the same place. Sometimes just so I can see the difference too, Yeah. I don't want to like run away from a problem if it's too difficult. I kind of want to like challenge it and see if I can overcome it. And I don't know. It's like the hero's journey, right? The hero's journey, you end up in the same place, but everything's changed. Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah. And it's like a healthy relationship with failure and like, like
it could always be better, but yeah, sure.
Well, you said it's like the failures are data, that you could respond to. It's like somebody doesn't like your print. Why is that? And there might be an actual like objective actionable thing that you could do, like make them bigger or, change the subject matter or something,
Right. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I definitely have those down times. Ask anyone around me. I'm like, I definitely get down about it emotionally. Usually it would take me a couple days to bounce back. It doesn't it's not like instant or anything. I'll usually be down about something for 1 to 3 days.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready, you kind of reassess because I mean, like, what else are you going to do,
Right.
Or, like, are you going to quit?
Yeah.
No. So you got to get back in there and okay, what do I have to change? What was wrong with it? So I feel like
it's part of the process. And I think we've talked about it before where an important part of your process is seemingly like actually interacting with people and being around them and getting that one-on-one feedback and stuff. And I feel like it's like we were talking about at one point, like the feedback loop, where I think often something like social media can feel a little bit distracting or a little bit like you just don't have that same sort of feedback loop. Like you might get 100,000 likes on something, but you are doing it alone in your bedroom, where like having that in-person experience with somebody is at a much, much smaller scale, but you're one-on-one with somebody in person and kind of seeing their reaction, which in a lot of ways might actually provide more like creative fuel for the fire.
To me, it does, for sure. For various reasons. Just like the connection part is something that I just always crave. I'm sure everyone does. And the only way for me to satisfy it is just meeting people, being able to ask them questions, honestly. Yeah. I think that I think like the back and forth is important. So like when I post something and some comments or someone likes, it's great, but it's still pretty one-sided. Like I'm not going to someone's not going to comment on a post and I'm going to be like, hey, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
How's life? It's just so out of pocket.
Yeah.
So I like shows because it opens up that dialogue for me to learn about other people too. And even as like a data point, I think the fact that these algorithms are hidden and kind of obscure or mysterious, it's kind of hard to tell whether something's working or not.
Yeah.
Because you don't know why. You don't know if there's like some third party thing going on or if it's actually because of what you did. So in person is nice because it's just natural.
Yeah.
The way people
direct.
The way people interact is just the loss of nature. So it's easier to like work off of.
Yeah. And again, I think it's like for making a business and making an art business especially, a lot of people are curious about it and aspire to do it and are always asking a lot of questions about it. But I feel like if you go out into the world and ask the right questions and you're open to whatever like the universe will tell you, you're more likely to go out and actually try to make something that empathizes with people. Like if you can make something that a lot of like a million people like, you can make a business around that, but you need to be able to like get to a point where you can even understand what people like from like a decorative object perspective or like a collectibles perspective or something. And again, for me, it's often it's not draftsmanship,
Yeah.
It's something like more intuitive or more like just more intuitive than just drawing well.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I'm always trying to align like my intent.
Yeah.
Because no matter how good I am or how good anyone is or how bad, the reason why you're doing it and what it's supposed to be used for, I feel like is almost more important than like the way it's done. So I feel like that's actually a big core piece of art that maybe kind of gets overlooked or doesn't really get discussed, I guess, because technique is something that's like really easy to talk about because it's a very objective binary thing that we can all kind of agree on. Intent is something that's almost invisible. But I feel like that's actually something that's like the most important. It's like the engine to your car, so I feel like always questioning why you're doing something, and I feel like those will have like that'll shift how your art looks regardless of your skill level.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, subconsciously, which I think is the frustrating thing about it, is that it's like you can't actively study it. It just kind of like going out and like having coffee with a friend or something might like make you more attuned with whatever that is than like going and drawing like another figure or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, usually when I'm drawing a figure, I'm just thinking like, how do shadows work? Like, how do muscles work? You know, it's all like very technical. And if I achieved it, I'm like, cool. Like, that was a really informative session.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, what are you trying to say? I feel like that is actually a question that doesn't actually get asked enough when making, you know? It's like, even before beginning drawing, like, what is it that you're trying to communicate?
Right.
And I feel like that's actually what's coming through the most, you know? Yeah, so especially in this day and age.
Well, it's crazy too. So like the common conversation that a lot of people are having is like AI. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
Like AI is able to spit out something that like looks good technically very easily. Anyone can do that now. But
yeah,
there's still artists that are going out and drawing images by hand that are still more desirable than those AI created images. And it's like, well, this, like, if you were to ask someone off the street who doesn't know anything about art, like which one looks better, they might choose the AI thing more often.
Sure.
But yeah, from like a business perspective, those people might not buy a print of it, you know?
Yeah, because like how are they using it?
Yeah.
You know, like, how are they using the AI image?
Right.
For what purpose?
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
Well,
you know, like, yeah, I feel like that's really important. Like,
well, and the decorative object thing might be like them wanting to like be part of a community. They might be trying to like signal to other people that they went to like WonderCon and bought a print from you.
Sure. And
they want to like be inspired by it because they're looking at it every day and just have like an object that's like, oh man, a person made this, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a lot of sub levels to something that's pretty simple looking on the surface.
Oh, for sure.
But those things that are kind of like invisible at a glance end up being a reason, it seems to me, like somebody can make a business around it in the first place.
I think so. I mean, like something that actually just like really inspired me the other day. I don't know his last name, but Carl something. He just had a stroke.
Yeah, okay, Carl Kopinski?
Yeah. So for me personally, like when I saw his last post, I think he lost some his muscle control. Yeah, his motor skills, and he wasn't able to draw the way he usually does. And he's like struggling just to kind of like keep his hand from shaking, and none of the lines are going where they want. But for me, like what he was making was almost irrelevant. I think like for me, I would actually love to just have that drawing of him, like that he just did, where he was struggling, because to me that actually means so much more.
Yeah,
it just speaks to so much, like the fact that he worked how many years to gain that, and then to lose it, and to
keep going,
still have the discipline and drive to get it back. Like that's so powerful, you know. And to me, it doesn't even matter what it looks like, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that this is a guy has dedicated his life to his craft, and those lines, even if they're crooked or misplaced, it represents human struggle, but it also represents ambition. It just encapsulates so much.
Right.
And so for me, like, I would have that on my wall because it's inspiring.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm sure AI could have done better. He could have done better. Let's say he could have done better 10 years ago. Right.
Better. Right.
Like he could have done, he himself could have drawn it technically better.
Yeah.
Just like however many years ago. But to me, that image is still more powerful.
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel like, yeah, I think to me, that's where the art is actually.
Absolutely. Well, I think bringing back to the convention thing, it's like, it's like the characters, the IP, all that stuff. It's like it almost doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you make something that empathizes with people, tells a story, you know.
Yeah.
And it's corny and it's cheesy and it's like almost like too simple, you know. But it's like someone thinking about doing their first convention might be like more brave. Like them going and just putting themselves out there in a small convention in their local town might be more brave than you personally, where you're at now, going and doing a convention at like Comic-Con.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so true though. Yeah. And that's why I feel like you always need to realign yourself. Yeah. You need to always like kind of reset, humble yourself, like
perspective and
all that stuff, right? Like nothing. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of moving parts, but an easy way to be dissatisfied with your life is just kind of like letting your like ego get too big or your mind floating off too far. You just kind of need to bring it back. Like,
yeah, and there's that saying, it's like comparison is the root of unhappiness or something. You know, it's like, yeah, it's so, especially at a convention, it's so easy to compare yourself to someone else who might be getting more attention or might have better art or might be making more money or whatever. And it's like,
yeah.
Well, I think part of being an entrepreneur, like an artistic entrepreneur, is like looking at the amount of people who are way more competent than you, that are way more skilled, and still having that bravery to go out and put yourself out there, even though that you're not going to be able to like live up to those expectations.
Honestly, that's like the funnest part.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then you do it, and then like crazy stuff happens. You know,
I feel like, dude, that's the fun part. Like, that's the underdog story.
Yeah.
You have everything to gain in that scenario. Honestly, like when you think about it, being at the top is not that fun.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine being all that fun just sitting at the top. Like, where are you gonna go? Like, I feel like for people, the journey is like the most important part, you know? And so, dude, if you're starting at the bottom, awesome. That's like look how far you can climb. Yeah. How fun is that gonna be, you know? Right. So, I don't know. I feel like there's just different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Like starting from 0 is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You can gain 100, you know?
It's nuts. Yeah.
Starting at 100, like where are you supposed to go?
Well, I've been talking to some people who've been going and doing conventions, and you know, they work as engineers or something, and then they go and sell at a convention for the first time, and they make like $300, and it's like, oh my god! It's less so about the money; it's more about like evidence that they don't have to be an engineer or something, or they can do something that's like, oh man, there's like actual desire for this, yeah, and it's tangible. It's not just like analytical brain, trying to like, you know, think about who might or who might not buy this, you know.
Dude, yeah. I mean, that's the funnest part, man. I feel like, especially like for me, there's things like I would have just done for free anyway. It was like cool to see someone, be willing to pay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a fun experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, do you have any closing thoughts or anything? But
do a convention. It's fun.
Yeah. If you're considering it, try it out. And
I don't see why not. I mean, like, I don't know, tables are like $250. If you could do something local, that'd be great. Yeah. Don't overprint things. Just try something that doesn't work. Yeah. Try something new.
And I'm sure, like, I could save this for another video at some point, but like, you probably have like stories where you like massively overprinted or something, or like maybe like the classic failure things where, oh, there's so many, like an embarrassing failure.
I think I literally started as low as you could start, right? Like, my second ever like show or whatever, where I just like literally set up outside, was actually at this convention center.
Really?
Yeah. So it was at, so the first one was San Diego Comic-Con, right? I set up at Gaslamp District, did that for 4 days, did just free drawings for people on the street. I had like a stool and just this big wooden sign. No. And I don't know, it was same experience as like the engineer example, right? Like, I was like, oh my God, someone gave me money for this.
Yeah, about that.
Crazy, right? So I was like, oh, I wonder if that was a fluke or if I could do this again. So D23 was like 2 weeks after that. Yeah. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it. Yeah. So I set up right outside the entrance right here at the Anaheim Convention Center. And it was great. It worked, it worked again. I was just doing free drawings. People were giving me a tip. And I sat outside there for 2 days, and on the third day, I got kicked out by security. They like wrote me up. They're like, if we see you on this premise again, we're gonna arrest you. So we're gonna call the cops.
Yeah.
And
Now you're here.
now I'm here. And my first ever show where I got a table was actually WonderCon in 2014.
Yeah.
I think 2014. That was my very first inside convention.
Yeah.
I had done 32 other events that are outside or just like random whatever type events for like 8 months, and then my first one was this one. So this is actually a very nostalgic show for me.
Well, again, talking to people about who you like, who try to run businesses and try to start things, they always have stories of like super humble beginnings. It's like you going and doing minion portraits outside of Comic-Con. That one New Zealand guy who would be super incompetent, but I made one of the biggest toy companies.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, that guy's inspiring.
Well, and it's like, I think we talked about it before, but it's like how brave are you? How much can you stand against like the overwhelming odds, or how much can you stand against just being embarrassed before you quit?
That also depends on how much you're thinking about it too, though, because like sometimes people are just not thinking about that too. Yeah. I feel like I don't know if that's a form of bravery, honestly. I think it's just
Being naive,
honestly. Yeah, and I think that's why kids have like the potential to succeed, because sometimes you're just not thinking about it, and honestly, that's probably the right answer.
Yeah. You just don't know how hard it is.
Yeah.
It's like why not me, or how hard can that be?
Yeah, I saw. I was watching that Pixar Story documentary, and there's that scene when they finally got greenlit to make Toy Story.
Yeah.
And like none of them had worked on a feature film before, but everyone's just like super stoked. And they're just like, God, how naive we were.
Yeah.
Everyone was just, it was their first time. No one knew how hard it was going to be, but that's almost the reason why you're willing to start.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, there's an interview with the guy you found in Nvidia, and someone was asking him about like, what would you do if you were 20 years old, trying to start a company, and he said, I wouldn't do it. Like knowing how hard it is now, I just wouldn't do it.
Wow.
And it's like,
that's a big company.
That's like a billion of dollars, and like, but it's like, I think if they could see the amount of work in front of them and how hard they just never would start.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Like when you work out or whatever, right? Like if you had the whole workout plan, it's kind of like daunting, but if you just think about like the 5 reps or whatever you're supposed to do, it's like more manageable.
Yeah.
But that's probably that you only need to see so far.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess in my own personal case, it's like doing my podcast and doing these YouTube videos has been like, okay, I have social anxiety. I can like at least drive there. At least I can walk around, or at least I could like just talk to people. And then it just keeps scaling there to like, oh, maybe we could do an interview. And then it's like, all right, and it's like letting myself trick myself into just doing more of the work.
That's so true though. Yeah. That's probably why people say like, just get started. Because no matter where you are, you probably do something. It might not be what you do at that moment might not be the thing that like skyrockets you into fame, but it gets you started.
Yeah.
And it pushes your like comfort level.
Right.
And you learn. And so at least you're on that path to get there.
Well, like an analogy that I've been using lately is like in cases like of being like a print artist for like fan art at conventions, it's like you doing drawings of Goku in the margins of your math homework ended up being more beneficial to your career than doing like calculus. Like, which is like in the moment, that's ridiculous. That's like an insane thing to go and say, but it's like, yeah, those drawings of Goku ended up like making their way into your prints somehow.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And it's like, wow. It's like, and I think a lot of the journey of trying to make this stuff work practically is just having faith and just showing up,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that like, getting started, obviously the most important, and just being willing to like pivot.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. I think that like, you might have a thesis, you might be wrong.
You're most likely wrong,
Most likely you're wrong. So like, I think getting started will help you get on that path faster to shifting in a direction that will work for you.
Yeah.
Just don't be married to the first thing you do.
And I think also keeping in mind that if you think your worst case failure is losing like $1,000 at a show, there are projects where somebody spends $100 million and then they get like 30 people that are interested in it,
Right.
Like,
yeah. So like, your failures, everything along the way teaches you how to be better eventually. And it's important when you get to those moments, if you just suddenly got drafted into some important, powerful position and you had to make decisions without the experience to make them, you could end up messing up really bad. So it's important to just learn all those things along the way. Everything that you learn comes back later, and you're where you at for a reason. Not in like the woo-woo sense, but like you're literally there. You're at where you're at for very specific reasons. And until you learn how to adjust or learn how to solve some of the problems that are causing you to be there, you'll probably stay there. But once you solve them, that's where you kind of like get to that next stage.
Level up.
So, just got to figure what those reasons are. Work on it.
Well, and to always focus on doing the doodles and the margins of your math homework.
Oh yeah, please keep drawing Goku.
Sure. Never stop drawing Goku. Never stop drawing Goku and you making out. That's like that's the point. Man. Oh, it's the best. That's the highest form of art, honestly.
I'm gonna need you to post your Goku drawings in this video.
I think it was like mostly like World of Warcraft. Sorry,
Nice. Yeah, gotta post it right here, please.
Man. Okay, cool. Ari, I think that's enough.
Yeah, thanks for the interview. Yeah, always good chatting with you.
Yeah, cool. Food. Thank you, sir.